Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Columbus Local. I am Len D'Amico, and today it is my great pleasure to introduce Beth Nuzum Cronenweth. Hi, Beth.
Hi, Len.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
You know, it's so awesome to do this today because, I think most people understand and have seen that, we're very close.
We're a couple.
We are a couple,
Yes.
and we live together. We live, in love and admiration of each other, and it's awesome.
It is awesome.
It's awesome to talk to you today.
It is fantastic to talk to you.
So,
I love your podcast so far.
you're so smart because I think I've got a couple of the kinks that come with every startup worked out at this point, and you watched all the pain, and you helped along the way, which is great. And so I appreciate all that. And here we are now with the opportunity to get to know you better, which is awesome. So some of these things, Beth, I'll know in advance because I've spent a lot of time with you.
Indeed.
But I'm going to ask them anyway. So, for you in the Columbus local music community, people know you as MegaBeth. So let's start with, where did the name MegaBeth come from for the band?
Oh my gosh. I always say the band's name and then follow it with, but it wasn't my idea. But you know what? It's become such a great brand. I started this band about 8 years ago now. And my nephew, Steve, became the lead guitarist, and his brother Grant, who's also a fantastic musician, somehow came up with this name, MegaBeth. And we couldn't figure out any other name, and it stuck, and it has just become a great brand.
And it's awesome.
Thank you.
So, for MegaBeth then, you mentioned Steve, and I got to say, he is an absolute world-class talent when it comes to a couple of things. One, he has a custom building and remodeling business.
Right.
He's done some fantastic work. He also owns Anklem Custom Guitars. I'm fortunate enough to own one of those as a gift from you, Beth, for a recent birthday that I just absolutely love and cherish that guitar. It's very unique and sounds great, and I love to play it. And then also, of course, he's a fantastic guitar player. And so I hope that Steve will one day listen to this podcast and say, "Hey, man, I think I want to do a podcast."
I hope he does.
Because he's really, I think he's going to make a lot of contribution. Obviously he does within MegaBeth, right?
Yes.
But I think we'll see more of Steve.
Yeah. He's a great lead guitarist. His tones are unmatched.
Oh yeah.
And he's also a great dad to 3 wonderful children.
And husband to a
wonderful
woman.
wife, yes.
Absolutely.
So
it's a wonderful family, your nephew Steve.
Yes.
Absolutely. With MegaBeth now is kind of your main rock 4-piece band project. We can talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but where did music start for you, Beth?
that is a great question, and I have an answer for that. As you know, and many people know, my dad was a radio and television on-air personality. Back in the heyday of local live television, he started as a 17-year-old disc jockey at WWVA Radio in Wheeling, West Virginia. And through the years, he, finally decided that TV was probably an up-and-coming thing, so he moved his young and growing family to Columbus, Ohio. And that was about 7 years before I was even born. So I came along, and by that time my dad was pretty well known in the local TV scene, and he was doing a live kids show, and they gave him a guitar. The Channel 6, which used to be WTVN TV, gave him a small body Gibson guitar. Now, Dad didn't know how to play the guitar other than he could pick up any instrument and play it just by feel. And one Friday night, being the precocious 5-year-old that I was, my parents were going out somewhere, and my siblings were all staying home, so they were old enough to watch me. And I said, Dad, can I learn to play your guitar? And of course, he wouldn't be able to teach me, but he gave me a book that he had handy. It was called Joan Baez, Let's Play the Guitar. So I spent the entire evening teaching myself chords from that book. And by the time they came home, I was playing a pretty rockin' skip to Maloo with a D chord and an A7 chord.
Were you using a pick? Or was it all like fingerstyle?
I think I was
stuff?
probably using a pick at that time. Yeah.
So you were playing the guitar that Dad brought home.
Yeah.
And your siblings were quote unquote watching you.
Yeah. He told me I had to be careful with the guitar.
You remember that?
I definitely.
But how many siblings are we? And I know the answer to a lot of these questions, but
I'm the youngest of 6, and my siblings are each a year apart, and I'm 4.5, 5 years younger than my next sibling. So I was definitely the spoiled baby of the family, and precocious.
Yes.
Yes.
I can't imagine.
Yes. Well, I
It
know.
surprises me to hear you say that.
I'm sure it does. And now I'm the spoiled, girlfriend of Linda Miko.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
So this guitar, is it
I
still
have
around?
it. I still have it.
Where is it?
It is in a climate-controlled storage
That we share.
unit.
Yeah,
Yes.
where a lot of our gear is
I
stored.
had several years ago. I beat the heck out of it. It's got belt rash, and I'm not even sure how it got belt rash because I'm not even sure I was wearing belts back then. But and then it got cracked. The body got cracked, and I set it aside for years, but I never got rid of it. And I finally took it to Bill Foley at German Village Music House about 10 years ago, and had him fix it for me. And it it's a sentimental. It has a 4-digit serial number on it. That's all.
Holy cow!
It's from like 1960 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what brand is it?
Gibson.
Wow, you got to check into the significance of that.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a cool guitar. I'd like to maybe see it sometime.
Yeah, you will. Yes, I promise.
I wonder what the neck's like. I wonder how straight that thing is. Hopefully, it's in great
okay.
shape. Because
Yeah.
if Mr. Foley
he
from
totally
German Village,
gave
he's
it the
one of
once
the
over.
best around. Right?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, so how not to date ourselves, but how old were you when you learned all those tunes in one babysitting session with your siblings?
I was 5.
Wow.
I was 5 years old, and after Dad saw that I was serious about it, because once I learned a couple chords, I just wanted to play all the time, and so he and Mom bought me a 6-string plastic guitar, with the nylon strings.
Sure,
and I could make music out of that thing. I mean, it was literally plastic, but it was 6 strings. It stayed in tune. And so I would take it to school. I remember being in 3rd grade. We were doing some type of Abraham Lincoln tribute, and we were singing a song to the tune of the Battle Hymn of the Republic about Abraham Lincoln. I won't sing it for you now, but suffice to say, I'm pretty sure I remember most of the lyrics. And I walked up to Mrs. Long, our teacher, and I said, I'll cover this on guitar.
Oh, wow.
And so I did. I figured out the chords to the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and there's no internet back then, so... I figured out
You had a good ear. You have a good ear now. I know that.
Yeah, I had a pretty good ear. So, and I took that little plastic guitar, and I accompanied my class on the Abraham Lincoln song. So that was quite fun. Then they would have me, do that frequently.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Awesome. So any band or other things going on, in the early days for you? Like it's pretty early, but
in the early days, not really. My school did not teach instrumental music until 8th grade.
And it wasn't guitar, was it?
Was not guitar, no. So the other thing that happened when I was about 11 is Channel 6 had an old studio piano, a baby grand piano, that they were getting rid of because it was beat up and all kinds. So my dad said, "Hey, can I have that?" And he had movers bring it into our basement where it sat for probably 30 some years. And I would go down and play. Dad, of course, once again, could play anything, but he only played the black keys. And he'd say, "Play along with me on guitar, Beth." But I was young and I wasn't good at bridge chords then. And everything he played was like in G flat or D flat or something like that. But then I finally taught myself to play chords on the piano and read music a little bit. But when I was in 8th grade, I thought this is an opportunity to finally learn to read music properly. So I learned to play the saxophone in 8th grade and played that all through high school. And we didn't have a big band in high school. I went to Bishop Hartley, home of the Hawks, and more or less had a pep band. But I played the saxophone and kept playing the guitar and things like that. And then when it was apparent that I was going to go to the Ohio State University, my band director at Hartley had been an Ohio State marching band member for 5 years, Paul Parks, shout out. And he said, "If you're going to Ohio State, I'm going to teach you how to play a brass instrument because it's all brass and percussion. And oh, by the way, I'll teach you how to march too because I never marched." So he spent that summer between senior year and freshman year in college teaching me how to play the alto horn and how to march. And I tried out for the Ohio State Marching Band, and I got cut. I made it to final cuts. I was very happy about that. And it was a good experience. So I worked hard. Freshman year, played in what was then called the military band. Now it's the athletic band, and got better on the instrument, worked on my marching, and my sophomore year, I made the Ohio State Marching Band and was in it my sophomore, junior, and senior year in college. One of the greatest experiences I ever had, and I learned a lot musically being in that band.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would think it's so. So here you are. You're from 5, learning the chords of the guitar.
Yeah.
Having fun with that,
Yep.
and then into the OSU the best
damn band in the land. That's right.
And through college, and so you kind of also are involved in other related arts.
I am. In high school, I got very involved in theater, and then during college, I didn't do anything because I was in the band, and it was very intensive. And so after I graduated from college, I moved away, and then I moved back, and a college friend of mine said, "Hey, come be in this musical that we're in. We still need some people." So I started doing community theater, and still doing it to this day. Took a little break when I was a mom and a traveling businesswoman, but yeah, I have a blast doing musical theater and now more non-musicals than I ever did before. But I was quite the geek musically. I was doing marching band songs and musical theater songs and listening to pop radio. So being in a rock band was not something that was on my mind, probably. I didn't think that was my persona for a long time until I got the opportunity to do it.
And when was that opportunity? Like, so?
Well, I lived in Cincinnati before I moved back to Columbus 10 years ago, and I had an opportunity to do a duo with a keyboard player down there, and we started doing, some more pop type stuff, but we'd throw a couple rock and roll songs. I'd play the guitar and little saxophone, and he'd play the keyboards, and I did most of the lead vocals. But it was just fun stuff, and we did what we liked. But then when I moved back to Columbus, a good friend of mine, Pat Lawler, bass player, said, we really should do something. And that's how MegaBeth started. And we added Steve. Pat unfortunately left the band about 5-6 years ago, but we got a great new bass player who was a friend of mine, Tim Hennessy, who is just an awesome bass player, awesome singer. Yep, he's fantastic. And our drummer, Los Giles, who plays in a lot of different bands around town, Paradigm Shift. He plays with 6 Foot Blonde. We really have great personnel. They're and between Steve's lead guitars, Los's drumming, and Tim's bass playing, and my rhythm guitar and vocals, adding whatever they do to the mix.
And MegaBeth really is a fun 4-piece rockin' band. And every gig that I've attended over the last couple of years, the crowd really appreciates what's going on.
Yeah.
And I noticed too, you have a lot of local music peers that come to your shows and hang out. It's
fantastic.
Play a couple tunes here and there. So it's part of the support. That I think the community does so well.
So many great musicians in Columbus.
It's a lot of fun.
So good that you're doing this podcast to highlight a lot of them. It's great.
There's so much that I think you've shared about yourself that nobody really realized.
No.
Beth, you're the youngest of 6. You learned guitar, at a very early age. You're inspired by your father, who was, part of the media. Pioneering events of radio and TV, which is awesome. You're a member of the Ohio State Marching Band alumni at this point, right? And
that's right.
You hit those alumni games with,
I do.
With the marches, which is always fun to see you and your bandmates get together and
we have fun.
Relive the the times of OSU marching band during college. But, seeing MegaBeth is a lot of fun. And what else do you have with MegaBeth? Because you're very busy with your professional life, let alone, and we touch a little bit on theater, but let's also note your involvement in local theater and then move into some of the music projects that are part of Columbus.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We, years ago, I met a very, very dear friend, Doug Schaefer, who is one of the best directors I've ever worked with and just incredibly talented. And when I moved back to Columbus, he and I started doing some shows again together with our other good friend, Scott Jones, who's a phenomenal set designer and choreographer. And we decided, hey, you know what? Let's do this ourselves. So we started our own theater company about 5 years ago called Performing Arts Creative Ensemble, or PACE, pacecolumbus.com, I believe is our website. And we started producing some shows that maybe you haven't seen for a while. We started 5 years ago with Death Trap, classic shows that are underperformed a lot of times. We've done Arsenic and Old Lace. We've done The Shadow Box, several really great shows, and tried to showcase local talent that way. I've been fortunate to be in a few of the shows, and we've been performing at Columbus Dance Theater on East Main Street near Parsons, and they're a very great organization that we've formed a good relationship with. And it's so gratifying not just to do theater. Doing theater is just a passion of mine and always has been. But Doug and I watch I call them kids, the kids that we bring in to do shows. And we look 5 years later and they have formed the same types of friendships that Doug and I formed 35 plus years ago. You look at their Facebook posts or their Instagram posts and they're hanging with the people that they wouldn't even know if we hadn't cast them in a show. And so it's like, it's paying it forward, but it's also making new friends ourselves and just having a blast doing it. We're going to be launching our first musical in August of this year. We're going to be doing the Pirates of Penzance, and we'll have some auditions coming up on June 25th. So you can look at our Facebook page, Pace Performing Arts Creative Ensemble, and or go to our website, pacecolumbus.com, and find out when those are. And if you're not a performer, come see us. It's a lot of fun, and you won't be disappointed.
Absolutely.
So that's thanks for that plug. We appreciate it.
That's good. No, it's good. It's really good, and it's also an augmentation of some of the additional music projects that you're in. So we've covered a lot of ground, and it's part of your background. But along with all of that, what are the other music projects that are going on with you, Beth?
There's so many cool things happening. Like we talked about, there's so many great musicians in Columbus, and they're a very giving group of people as well. And so years ago, Tim Hennessy and I started a duo with the very clever name Beth and Tim. I think Tim wanted to call us the Dunning-Kruger effect, but we decided against that. So
it's tough for a booking agent to write that all down.
And plus the meaning behind it is look it up. But so we decided on the very clever Beth and Tim, and we performed at Clada, if you remember that, in the Brewery District for about 2 years, once a month. And we've got some other gigs that we've done through the years. We love performing together. We do a little mellower stuff. We do some versions of MegaBeth songs that we do a bass and acoustic duo, and we have, I think, a pretty good rapport on stage, as well as we blend well vocally. So that's been a fun thing. Time. Yeah, that's been a fun thing. And then recently, I've got 2 more recent projects that I'm excited about. The first one is we have our debut on May 19th.
Hey 19.
Hey 19. And we're the broader name is The Liquor Talking. We're giving you a Steely Dan experience. We're known as the Babylon Brothers right now. BabylonBrothers.net is our website. And man, we've got some of the best musicians you can imagine in this project. We're going to give you, an hour and a half or so of Steely Dan songs with Mr. Matt Sestone, the number 2 podcast participant on bass and backing vocals. We've got Paul Weiss on keyboards and an incredible Donald Fagen sound to his voice. We've got Keith Fields, who is killing it on guitar. And we've got Tommy Edwards. Keith's a beast.
Material,
oh my
right?
gosh.
So
and Tommy Edwards, just an incredible drummer. These guys have so much experience and first class. And then we're going to have a special guest. I should say, I'm one of the backup vocals, and Mel Roy, many of you know her, really well known in the music industry in town. She's the other backing vox, and we both get a couple leads as well. So, and then as a guest performer for our first show, we're having Steve Pickerel, who also does saxophone in a Pink Floyd cover band, The Dark Side of the Moon. He's going to be doing our sax parts for the Steely Dan show, and he's amazing.
Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to be at Mozart's.
A few tickets left, right?
Yeah, there are, we have probably about 25 or 30 tickets left right now. Mozart's Cafe on High Street in Clintonville, Friday, March 19th at 8 p.m. And if you want tickets, you can contact me or Matt or any of the band people if you know them, or go to Eventbrite, or you can go to BabylonBrothers.net. Tickets are only $10 a piece, and they will have an additional chance for dinner there. So we would love to see you all. We hope to do many more, working on additional bookings. But Babylon Brothers, the Steely Dan experience is just some of the most fun I've ever had musically.
Yeah, and given that this podcast will be out in the ether for the next 57 years, we're in 2023.
Yeah.
There will be a lot more shows,
There will be.
But this initial show is really just a few weeks away.
Yeah.
As it would relate
It's
to the
actually 10 days away.
linear time.
Yeah.
Machine.
And if in like 6 years we hit another Friday, May 19th, hopefully we'll be back at Mozart's, so this is relevant again.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot of shows. So stay in touch with everybody as at those websites that I suppose you mentioned, and there'll be a lot of future shows as well as this debut one that I personally am really looking forward to.
That's going to be fun.
When I was talking with Mr. Matt a few weeks ago, I had the pleasure to drop you off, Beth, at rehearsal, and I stuck around, and I can attest that is going to be a really fun. If you're a Steely Dan fan, it's really going to be fun to see these guys perform a lot of this really cool material.
It's so cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. So we got Babylon Brothers going, and it doesn't stop there, Beth.
No.
I can't believe we spend as much time together as we do, but we do.
Well, we do.
But you have all this going on.
I do, and there's
more.
There's one other, but wait, there's more. I was so fortunate earlier this year to meet someone who I had heard about, I had seen perform, and most people know her as 6 Foot Blonde. Somebody I now consider my good friend Ann Wilson.
I love Ann.
And she's got a big voice, and she indeed is a 6 Foot Blonde, and she is such an entertainer. And she approached me, and I happily said, yes, let's do something together. So Ann and I, although we haven't come up with a name yet, and maybe we won't, maybe it's just 6 Foot Blonde and MegaBeth. We have started performing acoustic duo stuff. And again, things songs current, older, whatever. We read the crowd. She's great at reading the crowd and making sure that you're engaged. And we just had a gig a couple weeks ago at Slick Whiskers in Powell. But this Sunday, Mother's Day, we'll be performing at the Island House out at Buckeye Lake from 2 to 5. So we would love to all see you come out there. The Island House is on the west side of the lake, so it's not too far from Columbus. We'll be performing later this month at the Buckeye Lake Winery as well, and throughout the summer. So look at either the 6 Foot Blonde website or Facebook page, or Ann Wilson's, or my Facebook page, Beth Nuzum Cronenweth, and we'll get the gigs posted out there. But man, it's fun to be performing with her, and we're just looking forward to adding new songs all the time.
Indeed, and I personally have not seen you guys perform yet, and so I got to change that. I think I had a gig the last time myself with what I had going on, but. Mother's Day, I think I'll be out there at Buckeye Lake, basking in the sun a little bit, having a nice cold beverage, and chilling out. So good, it'll be good, and that's the Sunday, and then again, it's just one gig, one project after another, lots going on there.
We keep busy.
What else is going on, Beth?
What else is going on? I mean, we just built a studio in our condo, so that's cool. Yeah,
and we're using it now.
We're using it now.
I think it's going to serve a couple of purposes. It'll be fun. I'd like to, continue to maybe work on some original music.
Yeah, it's
together.
fantastic. Yeah,
and separately, and it's a thing too. We both play, but we both keep a healthy separation of church and state, which I think is very healthy. Because. I don't know. We have different styles. We're different levels of, performance, et cetera, but at the same time, we both love music. We love to perform, and we love to support local music.
Yeah, and we've performed together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
but it's a healthy separation.
It's a healthy separation.
Right.
Yeah.
But when we get together, it's fun too.
Yeah, it definitely is fun, and we have a lot of good friends. I have some big personal news. My daughter, my only child, just got married a few weeks ago, so that has been great. And I would say that my daughter Emma and her husband Valerio are two of our biggest supporters as far as our music goes and our activities go, and theater and so forth. And they've got a little dog a corgi named Phoebe, who I'm sure if she could go to the theater, she would be there too, or the shows.
Oh, yeah, and if she's listening now, she'll be wagging her little tail in Chicago.
Hi, Phoebe. Grandma says hi. Okay, that's that. So yeah, we do keep busy, and when we're not performing, because we do perform a lot, but it's manageable. But the best thing that we like to do, and Len, I think you would agree with me, is to go see our friends. Live local music is just thriving in Columbus, Ohio, and there's every kind of music, every style, every level. There's great solo performers, duos, bands, and we always know people who are performing, and there's nothing that makes us happier than going to see those folks perform, and the support back and forth is palpable. It's just an awesome place to do music, Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus really does have a wonderful music presence, and to your point, it's a lot of fun to support our friends, people that we know, but also you'll discover too as you spend time on the weekends supporting local music that there are there's a lot of different scenes of music styles and different scenes, different genres that have their own clubs and neighborhoods and groups of supporters that I personally over the years have liked to spin through, and that's kind of been my inspiration to actually do this podcast. Is there's been so many different genres, and there's different venues that have folks that I've met and spent time with and talked with, and I've learned about a lot of the stories and backgrounds, and I'm just like, man, more people I think would be interested in, like having this conversation with you, Beth. Mm-hmm. There's so much about you that nobody really knows, that all of that makes up what they see on stage.
Yep.
And now hopefully they have a little more insight.
I hope so.
It's fun to hear, the backgrounds and some of the adventures, and you've seen a lot, and you contribute a lot.
I will tell you that from a very, very early age, even before I started playing the guitar, I knew I wanted to perform. And I used to wish I could climb into the TV and, be on the Donna Reed show or something, but I don't know why that came specifically, but it did. And, I spent many years performing, and then I spent many years not performing because of life calling, and everything was absolutely worth it. But to be at this point in my life and being able to express myself through performance in many different ways is just almost brings me to tears, because it's what I've always wanted to do, and it's a big part of my life now, and to have a partner who not only understands it but lives it as well is it's just like the best place to be right now.
Yeah, it's fun. We're blessed people for sure.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate the fact that we're able to do a lot of it together. It's a blessing.
It is.
So support local music, and in this case, stay in touch with MegaBeth. Stay in touch with Beth and Tim. Babylon Brothers is coming, and there'll be more, I think, attached and surrounding that particular group of musicians. Then they're all aces. Everyone involved in that project is going to be, a highly contributing factor to the cause.
Yep.
The 6 Foot Blonde, Ann Wilson, and I think, Beth, anything you choose to do is always, I think, a lot of fun, and there's a lot to stay in touch with, including your theater company, Pace.
Yes, Performing Arts Creative Ensemble.
So that's coming around, the band here for this year as well, right?
It is. And I like to have fun. I think fun is an important part of life. And, you need to be able to relax and laugh at yourself and laugh with others and just do what you enjoy, because life goes by quickly.
Yes, it does. Unfortunately, it does. We're here for a blink of an eye, and
Yep.
I'm just glad to be here with you.
I'm glad to be here with you. Thanks, Len.
Thank you. I think, with all of that that you have going on in music and in theater, and your professional career, which is very demanding. You make me a priority, which I appreciate, and we still spend a tremendous amount of time together, which just blows my mind how you're able to manage your time as well as you do.
Well, and we laugh a lot.
Oh, we do laugh.
Yep.
We do laugh.
Mostly because I'm really funny.
You are funny. You're funny. You're talented. You're cute. What can you say? You're having a lot of fun. You have fun around yourself.
That's right. I have a fun halo.
Your aura.
My aura
is purple.
Is fun.
It is so fun. It's purple. I can see people's auras. You know that about me.
Yes,
right?
I do know that.
So, I always admired your purple aura.
Thank you. I'll have to look
regal.
that up after this.
It's regal.
Yes.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, Elizabeth.
I have to get going, beat the traffic to get home.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, I'm home, so
I understand.
It's all good.
Absolutely. And so, we thank everyone for listening. Beth Nuzum Cronenweth. She's on Facebook. She's got a couple of those band websites and theater websites. Check those out. And we do appreciate everybody listening today.
Support live local music and theater.
Absolutely. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Len.